Hi, I'm Lisa Fletcher, and you're in the stream. School lunches are as much about food as they are politics. We hear from innovators on the front lines of the school food fight. Our digital producer, Wajahat Ali, is here. He's bringing in all of your live feedback throughout the entire program. Waj, we know that students consume the majority of their calories at school, so what they eat there is really important.
Yeah, I used to eat sloppy joes growing up and corn dogs, which is no wonder why I was an obese child.
Husky pants.
Yes, husky pants for life. And using Twitter hashtag AJMStream, huge feedback today. KBD says, in middle school, I ate exclusively pizza, French fries, and cookies for school lunch. It was awesome. I do not know if he's being sarcastic. Bilo, however, says, I remember greasy pizza, fatty meats, frozen veggies, and sugary snacks, all from 1990 to 2005. And then Francie says, our son attends a technical high school. There is a culinary program. The food served there is better than most schools in the country. And as we know, Lisa, most people don't have that luxury.
Yeah, I think one of our younger staffers, Frank, would have really enjoyed that. He was telling us earlier today that at school he could opt for an entire tray of French fries for lunch.
Oh, wonderful. Protein and veggies for the day.
Eat, trade, or toss. It's a decision that kids make daily in our nation's lunchrooms with some major implications.
We want to serve great food, but we want to serve great food that the students like and that they're eating, because we know that academic success is directly tied into the nutritional choices that they make every day, as well as we as adults make every day. And so it's super important that the products we serve are also being consumed during the meal period.
The school program is the country's second largest food and nutrition assistance program, serving 32 million kids every day. Last year, it got its first overhaul in 15 years in the form of the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act. That requires participating schools to increase the availability of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains while reducing sodium and certain fats. Now, since the change, some schools are turning to salad bars, chefs, and even gardening to improve their meals. The new program, though, is not without its critics. It costs about $13 billion a year, and some question the influence of the food industry after learning that items like pizza sauce count as a vegetable. Students have also chimed in, and calorie limits were raised to address their complaints. Yet some schools dropped out of the program, complaining that students were just tossing the healthy options right into the trash can. So, how do we improve the quality of school meals? To help us answer this question, we're joined by Joanne Hammermaster. She's a parent who helped start the Real Food for Kids program aimed at improving school food. Julie Gunlock works with the Independent Women's Forum and is author of the new book, From Cupcakes to Chemicals, How Alarmism Makes Us Afraid of Everything and How to Fight Back. Michelle Simon is the president of Eat, Drink, Politics. She is a public health attorney who focuses on the food industry and food politics. And Jean Ronnie, vice president of the School Nutrition Association. Her organization speaks on behalf of the people who run the school food programs. Welcome everyone to the stream. So to get started, just wanted to give you a few visuals just in case you haven't seen what your kids are eating at school lately. Check out these pictures. They've come in from our viewers all across the country. These are some of the meals served to kids just in the last few days. Now, given the new guidelines, these meals, I don't even know what that is, are well balanced and healthy. Okay, Michelle, first of all, yes or no, was that an accurate snapshot?
Well, a lot of misperceptions. You know, it's not as if we just immediately changed the school program overnight. All the USDA has done is put some new nutrition guidelines around what needs to be offered to kids. So there's still a lot of challenges, and obviously we have a long way to go.
All right, but 60 years ago, the school lunch program started with, this iteration of it started with probably good intentions, probably healthier meals than what we just saw. How did we get to a place, Michelle, where corn chips and liquid cheese and pretzel bites qualify as a nutritious lunch?
Right, good question. I like to think of the school meal program as simply a microcosm of what's wrong with our larger food system, right? There's nothing in particular about school food that is so unique. It's just that our food system in general puts profit ahead of health. So that means that all the wrong kinds of foods, the most heavily processed meat and dairy-centered foods, are what is most available, and the healthier foods are what's not available. That's simply the way our entire food system is arranged, and so school food is a reflection of that.
Joanne, what got you involved in trying to change what kids are eating in school?
Well, the trigger point for me was when I actually saw what was on the menu. When I looked, actually it was the cheese quesadilla. You know, it had 76 ingredients. And
in a cheese quesadilla?
In a cheese quesadilla, which should have 5. You know, and not everything is bad in that, because they have to strip the grain, though, to give it a long shelf life. And so they have to add back some vitamins and nutrients to make it meet the guidelines. But there's still too much stuff in there, and that's what got me hooked, you know, that we had to do something for these kids.
And what was the reaction from school officials when you started engaging in this?
Well, I think there's so much involved. Like, there was a big education process for me to learn what is this all about, so it's not easy. There was, you know, certainly a lot of conversation about the things that the school's doing right, you know, meeting those guidelines. And that's when we said, but those guidelines, we don't feel those guidelines go far enough. Even with the new guidelines, after 15 years, they've made changes to the Free Kids Act, it just doesn't go far enough. And we need to kids don't know about a lot of fresh foods anymore. They can't live on the processed foods. It's not healthy.
All right, we just got this tweet in, speaking about toxic Avenger food here. This is by far the most disgusting. Neil says, tuna fish hot dogs. Back in the 50s, to accommodate Catholics who only eat fish on Fridays and not Catholics. Then we have Arya says, there was a study done where a school was receiving good nutrition versus regular cafeteria food. Good nutrition equals good grades. Michael says the consequences of the USDA-approved lunch at government schools are poor behavioral and academic outcomes. And we have Steve, who says any respectable government ensures the health and proper education of its children. Learning is synonymous with good nutrition. Gene, I'm going to go to you with that. Look, I'm going to give some numbers here. The food and beverage industry lobbyists spent $47 million in 2011. In contrast, the Center for Science and the Public Interest, regarded as the lead lobbying force for healthier food, spent $70,000. 47 million versus 70,000. What are the consequences of these lobbying efforts on the nutrition of our children's meals?
Well, I would love to speak to that topic of what happens at the federal government level when the meal pattern is actually developed and when the food pyramid and those types of things are established. What I can talk to you about is what happens in a school cafeteria and what we do with the regulations once they come to us. We have made significant changes. I've been a school food service director for over 20 years, and I've seen the changes that have happened to our meal programs, and there's nothing to be said other than we've made tremendous strides. Schools that offer all-you-care-to-eat fruits and vegetable bars like we do in St. Paul and many other districts. Food lobbyists are going to be here. They're going to stay around. They are in it to make money. That's the reality. We, however, don't want that to happen on the backs of our children, and we are very concerned that the food that we serve our children is healthy.
Michelle, pick up on that. The food and beverage industry doubled what it's spending on lobbying in just the past 3 years. What do you get for $47 million? What kind of influence do you have?
Well, you get a lot of access. You get pizza as a vegetable, right? So, I mean, let's look at what happened when the U.S. Department of Agriculture was trying to do its job in setting and improving the nutrition standards around this school meal program. Congress stepped in at the behest of the Frozen Food Institute. There's actually a lobby for frozen food. And that's how we got pizza to remain to be allowed as a vegetable, pizza sauce particularly. So, in other words, Congress did an end run around our government regulatory process. So that's where those millions of dollars come into play, right? All it takes is for lobbyists to call up their friend in Congress to thwart the efforts of this regulatory agency that was simply trying to put science-based nutrition guidelines around school meals.
Julie, there have been attempts in the past to reform school lunches. They've pretty much failed. What do you see the problem as here?
Yeah, I agree. Look, I think that the government is influenced, and USDA is influenced by special interests, being big food, if you want to call it big food. But that's the precise reason why we should reduce USDA's influence and control over what kids are eating. I think we need to return this to the states and, frankly, to the local school districts who have a better sense of the needs of the children in the school and who have a better sense of sort of the regional tastes of the kids. I mean, the USDA actually comes up with lists of approved fruits and vegetables. They get really into the details. You know, kids can't have more than a cup of peas a week. I mean, it's absurd that someone at the USDA is sort of coming up with these rules when I think we should be trusting, you know, local school officials and lunch ladies or lunch officials. There might be some lunch men want to be offensive. So, I think we should be trusting people on the local level rather than strengthening and increasing the role of USDA in school lunches.
Power to the lunch lady, right?
Yeah, empower the lunch lady. I just want to get in some tweets here. Aria says, we have an obesity problem among school kids because of bad nutrition. School lunches shouldn't contribute to that. And Francie also says, pure nutrition contributes to obesity and unhealthy children who don't thrive. And I think the number, Lisa, is 1/3 of American children now are obese. Not overweight, but obese.
Unbelievable number. All right, we're going to talk more about that in a minute. Listen up, though, moms and dads, because playing with your food may have some benefits. We're going to discuss some of the very innovative approaches to teach kids about nutrition. So keep hitting us up on Twitter and Facebook. Waj is going to share your comments right after the break.
Farm to School is a program that connects us to where our food comes from. By serving us healthy, locally grown meals and giving us hands-on education opportunities, it helps make lasting changes in our school's food environment.
Welcome back. What you're looking at is a video from the National Farm to School Network. The organization estimates more than 10,000 schools across the country participate in the program. It's one of several innovative ideas that school systems are using to get kids excited about healthy eating. Waj, I'm looking at the tweets coming in, and just before the break, Julie Gunlock was saying, give control back to the lunch lady. And people are actually saying, yeah, this needs to go back and go local and have more local.
We should make the hashtag Empower Lunch Lady go viral.
Yeah.
And we also have Green Fork, who just tweeted in using the hashtag AJAMStream. Parents need to educate their kids about nutrition as well. BLO says, hey, allow more opportunity for children to play in school, exercise. That could be fun. Neely says PTAs could be very effective in restoring on-site food purchasing and preparation, something we should talk about. Yeah. And Michael says, have kids grow their food, learn biology, ecology, health. Hashtag get dirty, hashtag get healthy, hashtag food education.
Hey, Jean, Waj raises an interesting point. When I was in school, the lunch ladies pretty much prepared everything from scratch on site, on the premises at school, and now it's a lot of heat and serve. Why the flip?
Years ago, there were considerable cuts to our program, and that moved people away from scratch cooking, and you're seeing more and more school districts go to scratch cooking. And a lot of that is really driven by the regulations to reduce sodium, to reduce fat, to get fruits and vegetables incorporated into our programs. We are moving back towards scratch cooking. I'd say it isn't 100% anywhere or very, very few districts, but there's a great balance that you can get to, and more districts are finding that way. Minneapolis is one that's moving from that traditional pre-packed meal and retrofitting their schools to be able to get to that place where they can actually do the scratch cooking. It takes a lot of money, takes a lot of trained staff, but they're doing it.
Joanne, what do you see that's working?
Well, we're in a school district where we have all heat and serve, so we don't have any kind of preconceived notions that we can retrofit 196 schools at this time, because we have a big budget issue. So what we're trying to do is a new concept. We have a pilot kitchen going on right now in a high school, which is like a cafe bar, a large salad bar, fresh deli sandwiches, soups, getting kids more fresh foods, so trying to get away from the processed foods, and kids really like the food. That's the big change. Doing stuff like that. And another big innovative thing we love is getting the kids involved. A lot of fun things to get them, we have culinary programs where kids are trying to come up with different ideas for lunch, get them involved in marketing ideas to make the cafeteria more appealing, a nice ambiance, we have a really fun song kids made about fresh food. A rap song, because the kids from that high school are so excited about having fresh food.
Rapping about kale.
I think we've got it
rapping about it.
Actually, yeah.
Only in the 21st century can you rap about kale. But Joanne, what you're saying sounds great, but a lot of our community says, what about the kids in the inner city neighborhoods? Yeah. For example, here on Facebook, Bambi says, if you live in an economically depressed area, your healthy school lunch choices are marginal. Arya says school lunches are also expensive that some kids can't afford. And then we also have Reshma says, in California, public schools, it's a bureaucratic nightmare to even ask for an organic menu choice. Parents were willing to pay more, but the district discouraged the process to eliminate the big food vendors and allow the smaller local farm vendor in. Michelle, talk to us about how this is really affecting the low-income families, especially now that we have SNAP cuts. Food stamps are being cut, as you know. Talk to us about how this has translated into, real-life management for families who can't afford it.
Right. Well, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's what I wanted to say in response to this idea that we should just, empower the local and state agencies or the state school districts at the local level. Okay? If we left it up to just the local schools, we wouldn't have a federal system that helps with low-income families for whom the school meal, whether it's breakfast or lunch or both, is the best nutrition that a child is going to get in that day. And as you mentioned, we're now in a situation where Congress is proposing unbelievably deep cuts to the food stamp program, now known as SNAP, which, by the way, half of whom represents children. In other words, half of all participants on food stamps are children. So if that program, which it will, just the question of to what extent, the school meals become even more important. So the question then is, what role does the federal government have in ensuring that this subsidized program, and we desperately need to have school meals subsidized for these low-income kids, what role then does the federal government have to make sure that these kids are getting the best food possible? And there's plenty of flexibility for local schools, as you've been saying, to engage in innovative programs like salad bars, and that will meet the federal guidelines.
Jean, how challenging is it for schools to innovate when they don't have a lot of money?
Well, I would argue that urban districts don't have the resources to do that. We do receive federal funding for free and reduced price meals. St. Paul happens to have 73% of our kids are eligible, and that hasn't stopped us from innovating and engaging with our kids in our community, and you'll find that to be the case across the country. We engage our kids all the time. The fruit and vegetable program, fresh fruit, or our farm to school program, we have bison and wild rice and flaxseed and fresh chicken, and we're doing a lot of those things, and many districts are. So I think if you were to walk into a school cafeteria, not all of them, but many of them today, you're going to see the impact that the regulations have had. Now, that hasn't come at no cost. It is very challenging to make these budgets work. But when you talk about we lunch ladies, we are really out there trying to do the best job we can.
I hope you don't think that's a disparaging term, because we all loved our lunch ladies when we were in school.
Some people love it, some people don't. I happen to personally like lunch lady.
Or Jean, we have a community coming in. They're tweeting in about responsibility, Lisa. So Ellie says, responsibility is shared by the parents and the schools. Both should encourage the kids to eat healthy and make it available. Deanna says it's the parents' responsibility. They're the ones who pack their children's lunches or give them money to buy lunch. And Olkayado says the buck stops with parents. Whether or not the meals are homemade, parents should monitor their kids' nutritional balance. Julie, I want to get you in the conversation. Responsibility, whose is it? Who's failing us?
It's absolutely the parents' responsibility, and I'd like to respond a little bit to what we do for children whose parent who may come from households who can't afford it. Of the 5 billion meals that are served on to school lunches that are served, 33% of those were full price. These kids paid full price, which means the sort of average is around $2.30. That means that these kids come from families where they did not qualify for reduced price or free meals. Why don't we focus on that 33% of kids who clearly do not need the schools to provide them a meal. Their parents can do it for them, or they can, if they're older, they can pack a meal. I mean, part of the problem with the school lunch program is it is so bloated, and it has become a program to help inconvenienced parents. I mean, parents should set their alarm 15 minutes early and pack their kids' lunch, at least the parents who can afford to do so. We should leave this program to the kids who really like it. We shouldn't be subsidizing, middle class and affluent people who want to sleep a little bit more in the morning.
Julie, speaking of
Can
money.
I respond to that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So we already have a situation where children who do qualify for free and reduced meals are incredibly stigmatized. So those kids get on to a special line where they get their free meal, and then the kids who can afford it get to go to what's called the a la carte line and pay for the pizza or the cooler food. So what was just advocated was an even more bifurcated system where the poor kids are further stigmatized, and then we let the kids who can afford to have the packed lunch show up. What we need is the opposite, which is to break down these barriers, have every child in school be provided a healthy meal, and by the way, pay for it. It should be noted that the original proposal to improve the school meal guidelines $10 billion, we only got the equivalent of 6 cents a meal instead of 10 cents a meal. So in other words, schools are being asked to do more with less. And what we need is to really empower the local schools by giving them the funding they need, and then, yes, provide flexibility. But what we need is to do away with the stigmatizing of the low-income children.
Joanne, I see you nodding your head on that.
Well, I think that is an issue. So I think you definitely want to make sure there are no lines crossed who is getting the free lunch and who is not. So if we, and you know, there are a lot of really busy parents that are working, you know, and yeah, it would be great if you could say parents could bring, you know, make their lunch, but sometimes that just doesn't happen.
But do you think parents just don't know? I mean, look at the photos we showed at the top of the show. Would you bring those foods into your household on a regular basis and feed them to your kids?
But I think a lot of parents don't know. I don't think parents realize what's actually being served at school. Not that all that's bad, but you know, I think parents assume it's a healthy lunch because they're not involved. They just haven't taken the time to look at it. But I encourage parents to really look at it and find out what their kids are eating. But the only way this changes, it doesn't just happen with parents. It has to be a collaborative effort. With the costs that Jean was talking about, those are real costs. So.
Welcome back. We're talking about steps being taken to ensure that students are receiving healthy, nutritious meals in school. Joanne, you're pushing to improve food quality across the board, not just within your district, but outside of it. What can parents learn from your work thus far if they want to get involved?
I think parents need to educate themselves. First, find out what their kids are being served at school, and also learn how the system works, because every school district is different. You know, for example, like I said, we do not have cooking equipment. That's you know, and understand how many kids are on your free and reduced program, because that does impact, you know, your costs. But then get to know the school officials, work with your school board, that sort of thing, and run a positive campaign. I can't say that enough. You need to work in collaboration, and if you come on with a very negative attitude, I don't think that gets you anywhere. So I think trying to work together to make change and so people understand the issue, I think is the first step.
Hey, Michelle, can these local programs ever get broad national traction given the influence of the food and beverage lobby?
Well, sure. I mean, it takes leadership, though. It takes, as you were just saying, the parents getting involved, but I don't think we can leave it all up to parents. And by the way, it's not either or, right? It's not just either up to parents or it's up to the federal government. Of course, we all need to work together to fix this problem. But I think innovative programs like Farm to School, where schools are trying to team up with the local food movement, which is happening all over this country, to get fresh food, to get local farmers to, you know, source ingredients for schools, those types of programs absolutely can take hold. It just takes a lot of leadership and a lot of, you know, sticking to it and persistence over time. We absolutely can make positive change.
Julie, what's your policy recommendation at this point?
I really wish that parents would take a greater role in feeding their children. Look, studies show, there was just a big study out this morning talking about how important it is that kids turn the television off. Screen time is clearly related to obesity, childhood obesity. And I really hope that parents take a greater role in their child's nutritional development. I think it's important. You know, the school lunch lady, she's busy. She's got, you know, hundreds of kids to feed. It's parents who teach their children a lesson when they pack their kid a brown bag filled with a sandwich and an apple. These aren't hard things to do. Sometimes I think there's this narrative that, oh goodness, packing a lunch is so hard. I really don't think it's hard to put an apple and a turkey sandwich in a bag. And so I really hope that we encourage, along with encouraging healthier meals at schools, we encourage a greater role for parents.
Well, Alexander has a really good tweet, and we allow money to enter the conversation. Healthiness, nutrition should never be in the same convo as money. And here's a video comment from Casey.
Lady Michelle Obama put it recently, "The deck is stacked against healthy foods like fruits and vegetables. It is such an uneven playing field because our tax dollars are used to subsidize the ingredients in junk food. $2 billion per year is spent marketing junk food to kids, and junk food is engineered to be addictive, to take advantage of our basic biology. Schools should be doing what they can to help level the playing field so their students can learn to love foods that love them back."
All right, Jean, what can schools do to level the playing field?
Well, what I would ask is the photos that I didn't have a chance to see, but I've seen plenty of them, would would be to take a look at what's really offered versus what the students take on their tray, because that's where I think parents can make a big difference. Because generally when I see a picture of a student tray, something they've selected, it's missing the very fruits and vegetables that we wish that they would take and that are available. So when you're thinking about school lunch, think about what really is offered, and that's where parents can help. The second piece of this puzzle for me, and closing remark, would be that we really are operating a business within a school district. The way things are set up.
10 seconds.
We have to pay for indirects, custodial, all these things to make things work. We need the paying student. We need all of the students to be able to make this puzzle work for us.
That is all the time we have for this conversation. Thanks to all of our guests. Really appreciate you coming on. Thanks to our community. We'll see you online.